I'm different to David Bowie, Mick Jagger, Rod Stewart, Freddie Mercury, Mark Bolan, Roger Daltrey. They can all move around the stage with a microphone. I'm stuck at a 9-foot piano.
위대한 가수 엘튼 존이 무대에 선 지 50년이 됐습니다.
Senor Elton John, I am loving your music.
오늘 이 시간은 행복한 시간이 될 겁니다. 여러분에게 전 세계적으로 사랑받는 엘튼 존의 명곡들이 어떻게 탄생했는지 알려드릴 테니까요.
And when you say you wrote it quickly, how quickly?
15 minutes.
Wow.
Instead of going to Sainsbury's that day, I decided to write to that.
엘튼 존의 유명 팬들도 만나보실 수 있죠.
He's definitely a page in the history books, which is what any musician wants to be.
And he always looks awesome.
When he plays, it's like Mozart.
I'd hire him.
I love the guy. Love you.
엘튼 존의 주옥 같은 노래 20곡을 살펴볼 텐데 가장 많이 사랑받은 1위 곡은 마지막에 공개해드리겠습니다.
It's difficult. Elton's got a lot of good songs.
최고의 팝스타가 되는 게 절대 쉬운 일은 아닐 텐데요. 엘튼은 그 어려운 일을 해냈습니다. 엘튼 존은 반세기가 넘는 시간 동안 음악 활동을 해왔죠. 오늘 솔로 가수로서 전 세계적으로 가장 많은 앨범을 판매한 그의 노래에 얽힌 뒷얘기들을 들어보겠습니다.
It's hard to believe you turned 70 this year.
I did indeed, yes. I don't feel 70.
1967년 엘튼은 신의를 찾는 음반사의 모집 광고에 지원해서 유명해지죠. 운명의 장난처럼 이를 계기로 그의 단짝 작사가 버니 토핀도 만나게 됩니다. 그리고 둘은 모든 세대에게 사랑받는 노래들을 만들어내죠.
I answered that ad and I was kind of, not exactly a rock and roll looking kind of guy, and I was very, very shy. So why I answered it, I don't know. Every time I think about it, it gives me goosebumps.
Well, you have to put yourself in my shoes of being a 17-year-old fish out of water. But he was so genuinely friendly from the get-go. It was a good fit straight away.
버니와 엘튼은 함께 음악 역사의 한 장을 써내려갔습니다. 그렇다면 오늘 1위로 선정된 노래는 과연 뭘까요?
I'm still standing.
Sorry seems to be the hardest word.
Don't go breaking my heart.
Rocketman.
They're all classics.
Now, the nation has been asked what is their favourite Elton John song.
Right.
What do you think is going to come out on top?
10 years ago, I'd have said maybe your song. I'm not so sure anymore. So I make a bet.
Okay. What do you think it is?
Candle in the Wind.
그럼 이제부터 알아볼까요? 첫 순위에 오른 곡은 엘튼 존 인생의 전환점이 된 감성적인 노래죠.
When I think of those East End lights, muggy nights, the curtains drawn in the little room downstairs.
So we're going to start with Someone Saved My Life tonight. Now, this is a very personal song for you. What was going on in your life at the time?
I was living with Bernie in Islington with a girlfriend, and we'd arranged to get married for some stupid reason, I don't know why. And we'd been out with my friend, Long John Baldry, to a club in Carnaby Street.
We've all gone crazy lately.
Long John Baldry, they always speak for both of us, a great influence on our lives. Human being, one of the best. Singer, one of the best. Instrumental in bringing blues to the UK audience.
And someone saved my life tonight, Sugar Bear.
Who privately was wonderfully gay. Just proud of who he was. Don't forget, before '67, it was totally illegal. So I think Elton learnt a few things from Long John.
Hypnotized, sweet freedom, whispered in my ear.
We got absolutely hammered. And he said, you're making a crazy mistake. And I thought, yeah, you're absolutely right. And we came back. And I just put my head in the gas oven with the windows open. It was a cry for help.
7년 후 그 절규를 바탕으로 완성한 곡이 이 노래입니다. 엘튼과 버니의 자전적 앨범인 캡틴 판타스틱 앤 더 브라운 더트 카우보이의 유일한 싱글곡이었죠.
The whole album is about him and I. It's all about our songwriting journey and our life together before we became famous. It's a beautiful song.
Someone save, someone save, someone save my life tonight.
It seems like it's really about getting out of a bad relationship, but I think what it's really about is saving the dream of his music. It's just beautiful, it's dramatic, it's profoundly moving.
(19위는) 미국의 전설적인 운동선수 빌리진 킹에게 헌정하는 곡입니다. 그는 역사상 가장 뛰어난 여성 테니스 선수죠.
She's such an inspiring woman. Spend 5 minutes with her and you want to conquer the world. And I'm kind of similar in that respect, but she's amazing.
Rolling stone, you know, if the cause is right, I'd leave, find the answer on the road.
2 weeks before the King Riggs match, Jerry Parencho, who was the promoter of the match, had a party. And I asked Jerry, I go, Jerry, is this party for you or what? Just, no, it's for Elton John. I went, Elton John, he's my favorite. Are you kidding? So the whole night we're looking across at each other. And finally his manager, Tony King, comes over and looks at me and goes, Elton's been dying to meet you all night. He sits me across from Elton. Elton, this is Billy. Billy, this is Elton. Start talking. And so we started talking. We hit it off like that. I didn't realize it until that night. He loved tennis. We're going to a concert one day together, and we're sitting in the back, and he goes, I want to write you a song. And I'm like, what? I want to write a song for you. What are we going to call it? I'm like, I don't know.
If it was going to be a song for her, it was going to be called the Philadelphia Freedoms, because that was the team she was on. And at that time, the music coming out of Philadelphia was music that I loved. Harold Melvin, the Blue Notes, 3 Degrees, Spinners, and it sounded like a Philadelphia record.
The thought of it meant everything. I mean, I didn't care what it sounded like. I was going to love it. And he played it for me. I could tell he was so nervous I wouldn't like it. And he says when I go, Philadelphia, like that, it means guess when you're upset with the umpire. You're stomping over to the umpire like this.
Song, brilliant, strong. And then you think about Billie Jean, then you think about Elton, and it's just, yes, you did it.
It's about relationships, about friendship. These are times I'll never forget, ever.
필라델피아 프리덤은 40년 동안 라이브 공연 때 큰 인기를 얻었던 곡입니다. 그럼 이제 18위에 오른 곡을 소개해드리죠.
Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting. That's a real rocker.
Elton is capable of such an aggressive vocal. For somebody who's known for, you know, quite lush sounds, suddenly he's like belting it on that track.
Don't give me none of your aggravation. I'm tired of your discipline. Saturday night's all right for fighting. You get a little action. I mean, I've gone out on Saturday nights feeling exactly like that.
I think there's a myth that's sort of grown up around that song. I mean, was it really inspired by my rowdy youth in Lincolnshire? I'm not really sure if it was or not. I'm sure it had some sort of input.
Saturday
rocks out like Elton. Nobody rocks out like Elton. And when he does that, I just want to jump up on the stage with him and jump on his back.
It's that magic moment at any concert for the person on stage and the people in the audience. And, you know, we're all after.
많은 이들이 엘튼 존의 라이브 공연을 찾습니다. 그는 80개국에서 4,000회 이상의 공연을 했죠. 관중들은 공연장에서 놀라운 경험을 하게 됩니다.
As a live performer, Sir Elton John is amazing, okay?
He gives his all. He's funny, humorous, like I am. We're very similar. The only thing is she's stuck at the piano and I can move about.
Here's a guy that exploded on stage. He took that instrument that wasn't supposed to be sexy and made it sexy. There are pictures of him from the era where he looks literally airborne.
He'd be jumping on top of the piano and sort of doing almost not quite handstands, but he really made you notice him.
He wasn't just animated, you know, he would kick the stool out of the way. He was one of my true inspirations.
He's a master at his craft, and of course, on stage, his presence is unreal.
I've stolen a few things off him. It's rock and roll.
I grew up watching Little Richard, Jerry Lee Lewis. Little Richard stood up and played the piano. Jerry Lee Lewis leapt off it, and I thought, that's for me. Because if you're stuck there, visually you have to try and do something and make it different. I was always very envious of other artists because they could move around the stage. And now I'm 70, I'm not so envious of them because I'm glad I'm sitting at the piano.
Yeah.
But I had to make the best of what I had.
최고의 가수 엘튼 존의 명곡들을 살펴보고 있습니다. 잠시 후 안타깝게 순위에서 빠진 곡을 알아보죠.
I went, release it.
Release it at once.
엘튼 존이 첫 앨범을 녹음한 건 1969년이지만 정식 활동을 시작한 건 그로부터 1년 후 대서양을 건너 미국 로스앤젤레스에 있는 한 전설적인 클럽에 서면서부터였습니다.
I got the big kick in America first. Although I was beginning to get a reputation in Britain, it all happened in America first.
When you arrived in America, were you already well known?
No, not at all. We'd been doing shows in England and around Europe. But I went to the Troubadour in August of 1970, and we kicked ass. And I think that was, people went, oh my God.
Who walked me down to church when I'm 60 years of age?
Really was an invasion. Nobody expected that, but boy, they took care of business on him. God enabled him to put his personality and stamp on the music he played. Thank God we got him on this planet.
He just tore the place up. After the end of the first week, I was driving back to LA airport, and I turned the radio on, and I heard the DJ say, there's a new messiah in town. His name is Elton John.
트루바두르 클럽에서 첫 공연을 한 뒤 앨범 판매량이 무려 3억 장을 돌파했죠. 그런데 전 세계가 가장 사랑한 곡은 뭘까요? 순위는 계속됩니다. 17위를 보시죠.
My first memory of Elton John was I thought he was Russian because the first thing I saw was him in the Nikita video. And I was like, who's this Russian dude?
Nikita, is it cold? In your little corner of the world.
I was like, he must be really talented. I was only 7, to be honest. I was like, who's this Russian guy with the hot girlfriend?
Never find a warmer soul to know.
As time went on, I learned more about him, and I realized that maybe some of that was, fictional. But I was still left with a love and passion for the man and his music.
오늘 소개할 노래 중 고 조지 마이클과 함께한 곡이 2곡 있는데 냉전 시대의 사랑을 노래한 이 명곡이 그중 한 곡입니다.
What really topped it off for me was George at the end. He said, I've got an idea. Elton was like, go for it. And he went out and just did it at the end, which is crazy good. That's when you realize how good somebody is.
I have a soft spot for that song, but you know what song I love? That came out in like the 2000s was Are You Ready? Are You Ready for Love? The one that they sort of reinvented.
네, 지금 들려드릴게요. 16입니다.
One of the great pleasures of being a fan of Elton is that you can go 2, 3, 4 levels deep on his work and find stuff that you might have missed the first time. And Are You Ready for Love is one of his great tracks.
Catch a star if you can. Wish for something special. Let it be me.
Tom Bell had been one of the great songwriter-producers of the early 1970s, and people know his great work with artists from Philadelphia. Elton's love of Tom Bell was genuine, so it seemed natural when he was having a little break from working with Bernie to work with Tom Bell.
I'll write a symphony just for you and me.
사랑할 준비가 됐나요는 1979년에 첫 발매됐을 땐 40위권에도 오르지 못했었죠. 하지만 20여 년 후 나온 댄스 리믹스 버전 덕분에 서력의 기회를 가질 수 있었습니다.
I hadn't heard the original of Are You Ready for Love? And once I'd heard the record, straight away I was attracted to it, being a big fan of Philadelphia soul music. It's basically taking the elements that really make the track work. Now for me, there was a brilliant rhythmic pattern of the congas and the chorus. So I stripped it back. Whether or not Elton was worried that I took away most of the song. I personally didn't expect it to go to #1. And when it did get to #1, it was like champagne all round, you know.
That song, which had been sort of pulled out of the archives, was suddenly a radio hit. In summer of 2003, I just remember everybody was so happy it existed. It was a very special time for me with my band going over to the UK, and we were just starting out. And I really do think that song paved the way for my band. That's the most special single to me, probably, just because of that memory.
다음에 들으실 곡도 필라델피아 사운드죠. 첫 소절만 들어도 아실 겁니다.
Dun, dun, dun. It was so classic American R&B.
Hey kids, shake your loose together. Let's find out something. You know to change the weather. We'll kill the fatter cow. The lights out. Stick around.
This you didn't want to release as a single. Why
No, I didn't. I'd had Saturday Nights All Right for Fighting and Goodbye Yellow Brick Road as singles. And I wanted Candle in the Window. And the Americans said, no, we want Benny and the Jets. And I said, I don't see that as a single. And I kind of fought my corner for about 2 weeks. And then they rang me up one day and said, how about me telling you it's the #1 R&B record, i.e. black record in Detroit? I went, release it.
Release it. Release it at once.
Because for me, to have a black radio station playing my music was just incredible. And of course, I was proved totally wrong. For a white boy from Pinner, that's the ultimate accolade for me because that's the music I love the best. And it got me on Soul Train. Yay!
I'll never forget how much I cried when I listened to that song over and over and over again. It's majestic and soulful and rock and roll and everything all at the same time. I'm still probably ripping off Benny and the Jets on some level.
다음은 1990년도 히트곡인데 영국 차트에서 솔로곡으론 처음 1위를 한 곡입니다.
It's an important song because around the same time is when you got heavily involved with your charity work with the Elton John AIDS Foundation.
The AIDS Foundation was started at a table, at my kitchen table in Atlanta, and now it's 25 years old. We've come a long way.
It's a human sign when things go wrong.
Sacrifice marked a sort of newer, more mature Elton. It's heartbreaking. The words are very powerful and it just touches you.
Into the boundary.
Sacrifice. For some reason, it sums up an entire decade of music. It's a very well-written song.
Heart done by you. Some things left better, baby. Just passing through.
Why did you want to get so involved in that particular cause?
During the 80s, a lot of my friends, lots of my friends died of AIDS, and I really didn't get my fingers and my hands dirty. I was a gay man, and I can't really remember why I didn't. I think I was probably too much of a drug addict or too self-obsessed, and I was very ashamed of that. After I got sober, I decided that it would be wonderful to start an AIDS foundation and give back, because I just wanted to atone for the absence of my actions during that whole crisis. So I started doing singles and giving the money to the AIDS Foundation. So music was the first thing that kicked it off, and that's why I did it. I felt ashamed.
질병에 맞서기 위해 설립된 엘튼 존 에이즈 재단은 1992년부터 약 3억 달러의 기금을 모았죠.
What the Elton John Foundation has done globally in terms of saving people's lives, raising awareness about the pandemic, is extraordinary. You talk to senators, you talk to politicians, you know, everybody and anyone. In terms of advocacy, there's no one like Elton John.
차트에서 5주 동안 1위를 차지한 이 곡은 음악 역사상 가장 다작을 했고 성공한 작사, 작곡가의 손에서 탄생했습니다.
I thought it only fair that I should introduce Bernie Taupin, who never really faces his problem.
It's 50 years since you've been writing with Bernie Taupin. How would you describe your relationship with him?
Quite amazing. I mean, I have to say, as a songwriter, I have it a little bit easier because I have the lyrics come to me first. And by some God-given gift, I'm very good at writing music to lyrics.
Without Bernie, there wouldn't be any songs anyway.
Well, the one thing that hasn't changed and has remained the same since day one is really the way we write, which is kind of unusual.
Elton and Bernie write backwards. Bernie will give Elton some lyrics.
And then Elton would just put the music on top. I mean, how beautiful is that? How simple is that?
I've tried to write his way, and I can't do it. I can't write two words. I have to write the music first.
I mean, we've never ever had an argument over music or anything else. There have been times in our relationships when I'm sorry he disapproved of my behavior, and he told me.
It certainly doesn't feel like 50 years. I'd be lying if I said we didn't have our highs and our lows, but it's been one hell of a ride.
13위에 오른 곡 역시 엘튼과 버니가 만든 곡이죠.
What Elton's really good at is just coming up with those really heartfelt chords that just sit beautifully in your ear. Like you hear the opening piano to Sorry Seems the Hardest Word, and it's like you're there.
What am I gonna do to make you love me? What am I gonna do to make you care?
The best songs are really simple. They just say what they need to say. And, you know, everybody can relate to that song. Just what have I got to do to make you love me? What have I got to do to be heard? I mean, it's not Shakespeare, but it's poignant.
What do I do to make you want me? What have I got to do to be heard?
I've known Elton a long time, and I think where Elton goes to sort his emotions out is the piano.
Sorry seems to be the hardest word.
At the time, Elton had had a setback in his album sales. Blue Moves did not sell as well as the predecessors. It was just one of those periods when the lemons all lined up, and Bernie and Elton were both unhappy at the same time. And I went to this gig, and there's Elton looking sad on the stage. This was not one of the big show business productions.
Sorry seems to be the hardest word.
He was obviously very unhappy that night. For a start, he was wearing a very wrong outfit. He was wearing black leather with a black beret on. I remember thinking, that's not it at all.
And then Elton makes a remark.
I've made a decision tonight. This is going to be the last show. All right? So, there's a lot more to me than playing on the road. And this is the last one I'm going to do. All right.
When we heard it, it was like, did he just say I've quit? You know, that's the last concert. And it was like, yeah, he did say that.
We'd had numerous albums just go number one, number one, number one. It filled the biggest stadiums. And you get to a point where you know you can only go so far.
What have I got to do?
Elton has clarified on many occasions there was no animosity.
It was strange and it was odd, but we never ever broke up. We gave each other the leeway to write with other people, which I think enhanced and saved our relationship.
엘튼 존은 1947년 3월 25일 피너에 있는 조부모님 댁에서 레지널드 케네스 드와이트란 이름으로 태어났습니다. 그는 3살 때 처음 피아노 앞에 앉았고 듣고 외워서 연주를 해 가족들을 놀라게 했죠. 음악 영재인 엘튼은 10대 초중반에 왕립음악원에 들어가 4년 동안 재능을 갈고 닦았습니다. 런던 북서쪽의 작은 술집이나 클럽에서 음악 활동을 시작한 그는 더 큰 꿈을 꾸기 시작했죠.
I was a young kid in a band, getting fed up with playing to people in cabaret, and I thought, what else can I do?
I used to get him session work, and he demoed a song for me, and I played it to Ron Richards, who was the Hollies producer, and Ron booked him to do the Hollies. He ain't heavy, he's my brother. He had a great ability to play beautiful piano.
I mean, I learned piano from an early age. My mum forced me to learn it, and I hated it in many ways, because playing Mozart's sonata and F-sharp minor is not something you can play to your mates. But always had a piano at home, and I've always loved playing his songs.
Elton came along and played in a completely different style that hadn't been heard before. And I liked him right away. As soon as I heard his stuff, I liked him. I said, this guy's good.
곧이어 소개해드릴 12위 곡에서 멋진 피아노 선율을 감상해보세요.
I love the chord progression. I love the key it's in. I love the way he sings it. I aspire to write songs like that.
When are you gonna come down? When are you going to land? Should I stayed on the phone?
When I first moved to New York City and just had not a lot, I had a record player. I'd just find used records for, you know, as cheap as I could get them, just so I could have some music. And Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, that was when I really first started listening to Elton. He's just got soul.
This boy's too young to be singing.
Like a lot of poetic lyrics, they suggest more than they state. And so they create a world of a series of flashing images through the song.
So goodbye, Yellow Brick Road, where the dogs of society howl. You can't let me in your penthouse.
It's very American. Obviously, Bernie must have some infatuation with the Wild West.
I wanted to grow up in the American heartland. So I think it's me inventing me as a character who was raised in America.
그럼 이제 12위엔 작별을 구하죠. 다음은 11위에 오른 곡입니다. 엘튼의 노래 중 가장 수수께끼 같은 이 곡의 숨겨진 진실을 찾아보죠.
It's one of those songs that, like, I love songs that put you in a moment.
I can see the red tail lights heading for Spain.
Hearing that line, you could see the tail lights, you could see Daniel waving goodbye, and it's like, that's really cool when a song does that to you.
Oh, it looks like Daniel.
The lyrics are so mysterious. It's telling you a story, but you have to kind of fill in the blanks yourself.
Daniel, you know, for me was a gay anthem.
Spain is pretty, though I've never been.
I don't know what it was about, but I figured it must be about some sort of gay relationship.
Let me tell you about Daniel, because there's a lot of misconceptions. I wrote that song after reading a story in Time magazine about the soldiers coming home from Vietnam, and some of them just wanted to forget it. It was a younger brother talking about his older brother who was suffering from a really bad experience.
I've no clue that it was about Vietnam. And I'm sticking with my story.
That takes me back to spending time with my dad. That's the song that I can specifically remember him enjoying, and, you know, you can't repay people for those kind of memories.
다니엘은 엘튼과 버니가 만든 발라드 곡입니다. 이 곡이 발매된 지 1년도 안 돼 엘튼 존은 아주 독특한 팝 가수로 변모해 있었죠.
This is a particularly sexy one. What is actually going on here?
Well, it's what's coming off here. That's how I hit America, more or less.
Why did you get into dressing up?
As a kid, I wasn't really allowed to wear pointed-toe shoes or chisels, so in my 20s, I exploded.
Looking back over the years, Elton has been the most flamboyant person in terms of costumes, headwear, hairpieces, everything.
I remember thinking it was quite Liberace, you know, glamorous, over the top. As a kind of onlooker, I was like, ooh, I want some of that.
I've seen him dressed as Louis XIV, and I loved him in the Who movie, Tommy. I could never get away with any of that.
Well, it's what we all did then, you know, anything to cause a stir. And I thought I was being shocking with just a fur boa tied round me, you know.
He could come out as Marilyn Monroe for all I care, but the duck outfit, that tops him all.
I have to say that.
What is the thinking here?
They said, "You're going to be Donald Duck," and I said, "Fabulous." But the thing is, the bum was so big that I couldn't sit down on my seat and play the piano.
It's weird how famous this still is, isn't it?
Yes, it is, yeah. The freedom to do the clothes was just fabulous because, you know, I'm not the normal rock and roll looking star. I'm not svelte. I'm not, you know, leopard skin outfit like Rod, who looks so fabulous with the hair and everything. So I had to do my own thing.
(10위에) 오른 곡은 정통 로큰롤입니다. 이 노래를 할 땐 엘튼이 항상 독특한 패션을 선보였죠. 와, 신발 멋지네요.
I remember when Rock was young. He and Susie had so much fun. Holding hands and skimming stones. Had an old gold Chevy and a place of my own.
Well, you can't go wrong with Crocodile Rock.
It's a masterpiece.
The most important record in making Elton a pop act was Crocodile Rock. That was his first American #1.
이 곡으로 선보인 가장 인상적인 공연은 1973년 9월에 16,000명의 팬들 앞에서 펼친 공연이었죠.
I happened to be in America because I was working for Apple Records and I just arrived, literally, and I got a phone call. Can you come to the Hollywood Bowl? So I got in a car. Next thing you know, I'm on stage. I introduced Linda Lovely. She introduced Elton.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you to the Hollywood Bowl. The gentleman you've all been waiting for. The biggest, most colossal, Elton John.
Elton came on, feathers, sequins, boots, the whole thing. And then these 5 pianos opened to spell Elton. And inside the piano were all these doves that were meant to go shh, and they were all fast asleep.
Our manager, he went absolutely nuts because the doves just wouldn't fly out.
And then people were getting them and throwing them in the air, so these poor birds were kind of waking up mid-air. Oh, I suppose I better fly then.
엘튼 존은 떠오르는 신인들과도 자주 협연을 했는데 항상 최신 트렌드를 잘 파악하고 있었습니다.
When I hear something new, or I see a new photograph, or a new painting, or a new play, or a film, it's something creative that makes you feel, God, I wish I could have done that. I'm still a fan. I'm still like the little boy who grew up in Pinner that wanted to go to the cinema every week, wanted to buy a record every week. And I've never lost that. And it's harder now for new artists to make that impression. And that affirmation from someone who's older, a lot older, can sometimes mean, yeah, we're doing the right thing.
I got a phone call. It came up as a no caller ID. And I'm like, oh, it's going to be like a PPI claim or something, you know? I was like, cool, who's this? You know, hello. And he basically just called me to say how much he liked my music. And I don't know if he realizes what that means to someone like me.
Elton definitely was part of my influence becoming a musician, especially in songwriting. You know, his championing of, like, me or Gaga. He's been part of so many people's journeys. My earliest memory of hearing him, I think, was, I guess that's why they call it the blues. And it's just that piano, and the way that it kind of slides into it.
I'll always remember that opening bit from, I guess that's why they call it the blues, and sat with my stepdad, and we'd both come in at the same time and do Don't Wish It Away.
Don't wish it away. Don't look at it like it's forever.
Those first years of my teenage years, he was played a lot in our house.
I could honestly say that things can only get better.
I was 14 and I'd just split up with my boyfriend, and it was that thing where I just listened to it over and over and over again, just like putting it on repeat and weeping, putting it on repeat, weeping.
Before you and me run.
My first kiss was actually to, guess that's what they call it, the blues. So I remember that very clearly. You're not getting any more. That's it.
I guess that's why they call it the blues. Time on my head.
There's quite a lengthy solo section, and so what should it be? The idea came from Chris Thomas, who was our producer. I said, how about getting Stevie Wonder?
So I got hold of Stevie. He said, yeah, sure, it'd be great. He came down and he just got up on the microphone, played his harmonica. One take, boom.
고마워요 스티비. 8위 곡은 처음 나왔을 때부터 큰 인기를 얻었던 곡입니다.
How hard is it for you to predict which of your songs are going to be hits? And
I'm terrible at it. One of them was Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me. And I remember writing it in the morning, and my drummer, Nigel Olsen, we were sharing a cabin. He was asleep, and I was downstairs writing, which must have annoyed him.
I can't lie. No more of your darkness.
I woke up and heard him playing around with chords and sequences and stuff. And I left him for a little bit, and then I went downstairs and I said, that is a #1 record right there.
I'm growing tired, and time stands still before me.
When we finished recording it, I said to Gus Dudgeon, my producer, I don't think that's a hit. I don't really want it on the album even. And he said, you're crazy. And everybody else thought I was crazy. And of course, it became one of my most famous songs.
I have such vivid memories of being a kid and just having, like, huge, epic family sing-alongs, really belting out Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me. For me and for my family, his music's woven into kind of the fabric of music that I experienced growing up.
Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me also became a famous duet for you with George Michael.
He made that song something else. It was already a classic song, but he put his mark on it and did the most wonderful version of it live in Chicago.
There's this incredible moment where George Michael goes, "Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Elton John." Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Elton John. And the whole place goes,
They complimented each other, he and George. I don't think anybody else could have done that song but the two of them.
The music world has been paying tributes to George Michael, who died last night from suspected heart failure at the age of just 53.
You know, with George gone, it's changed the meaning of the song.
When you sing it now, does it bring back memories of him? And is that
All the
difficult?
time. As soon as I start singing the song, a picture of George goes up. And that will be the case for as many times as we play that song. I loved him so much as an artist and a friend and as a human being. He made that song something else.
I remember when I was sort of 17, started going to pubs with mates and stuff, and Tiny Dancer would always come on. It's a real sort of arms around shoulders moment for anybody and everybody listening to it. It's still a moment among us as friends, and that's just a great example of what a timeless and brilliant song it is.
Blue jean baby, LA lady, seamstress for the band.
Seamstress for the band. You have a great mental image of who the Tiny Dancer is. The thing about Elton's music is it's so transformative.
You marry a music man.
It's the voice of the soundtrack of my life.
Ballerina, you must have seen her dancing in the sand.
Tiny Dancer. It's going back to that first trip to America. There was something about California that was absolutely magical. It was the promised land. It really was the Garden of Eden. The concept of the British being very stiff upper lip and being a bit more reserved. People were the total opposite there, especially the girls. You know, there was like, it was whoa, you know.
Tiny Dancer was never a hit when it was originally released as a single.
She just laughs.
But when Elton finally went onto iTunes, it was the most purchased download. And that is, of course, due to Cameron Crowe's movie Almost Famous.
You must have seen her. You were dancing in the sand.
It's weird how some songs kind of come back, like a song like Tiny Dancer.
Yeah, it's one of those songs that, as I sing it, it gets better and better to me. So it's a pleasant surprise when those things come along.
When I first listened to Tiny Dancer, I was completely blown away. To listen to a song that was made back then and it to feel so present now was completely incredible to me.
다음 곡은 1976년의 무더운 여름을 담은 곡입니다. 70년대 초반에 수많은 히트곡을 낸 엘튼이지만 영국에서 싱글 차트 1위에 오른 적은 없었는데요. 그 성적은 결국 바뀌었을까요?
The first Elton song I heard actually was the duet he did with Kiki. And I said, wow, what a cute song that is. Who's that girl singing with him anyway? Well, that was not me.
I wanted to write something for her because I loved her and she was on my record label. I produced her and she was a dear friend. So that's how that came about.
이 곡은 엘튼이 작업 스타일마저 바꿔서 만든 곡입니다. 이번엔 곡이 먼저 나왔죠.
I was actually living in Barbados at the time, and Elton was up in Canada. He called me and said, I've just written this melody that I want to do as a duet with Kiki. He played it to me on the phone, and I just sat down and just wrote the lyrics out, and then I called him back, and that was it.
So don't go breaking my heart. I won't go breaking your heart.
I got this song through the post. I thought, yeah, this is good. This is bouncy, quite nice. So I put my vocal on and didn't think too much about it, really. And of course, then it was released as a single, and the rest is history.
Nobody told us, 'cause nobody showed us.
Every week you get over 100 singles. So I would listen to every single one, and you're just searching for something great. Well, obviously I got a bit of a clue because the label said Rocket, Elton John. But Elton John and Kiki T, hello, I'll have a listen to this. And so I was just leading up to leaving Radio 1 and going off to America. It was my very last record of the week. So I picked that one. It was a lovely thing for me and for them, really. My last ever record of the week on Radio 1. Elton's first ever #1.
Why do you think it was that song that got you to #1 in the UK?
Timing. Timing is so, the essence in pop music is timing. It's luck. No, it was a pure piece of pop. There are certain things that when it comes along, you can't stop playing them, and it makes you feel good.
People get snobbish about pop music. Don't go breaking my heart. It's tongue-in-cheek. It's really fun, and it lifted people up. It made life bright. I'm very proud of it, actually. Yeah, it's really made a lot of people very happy, that record.
전 세계가 가장 사랑한 엘튼 존의 노래에 점점 다가가고 있습니다. 5위 곡은 엘튼 존의 정통 스타일이 담긴 곡으로 1994년 그에게 새로운 세대의 팬이 생기게 해준 세대를 아우르는 곡이죠.
There's a calm surrender to the rush of day when the heat of a rolling wind can't be turned away.
Was it an ambition of yours to write a Disney classic?
Tim Rice called me one day and he said, Disney are doing their first original animation movie, The Lion King. They want me to write the lyrics and they asked me who I wanted to do it. And I said, I would love Elton to do it. And they said, you'll never get him. Well, of course, I was fascinated. And I said, absolutely, I'll do that.
Can you feel the love tonight?
That's one thing I'm like eternally jealous of Elton. Like, despite all the other accolades and all the other songs, he wrote The Lion King. That's the coolest thing. And Can You Feel the Love Tonight is a gem. It's a gem.
We always have a table of sandwich making, whatever. And I remember he started writing the song. I got a baguette, cut it in half, and by the time I'd finished making the chicken sandwich, before I'd even eaten it, he'd finished the song. So it was like about 10 minutes.
We were in the studio and he was supposed to be writing songs for the album we were working on. And he said, come and listen to this. And he played it to me and I fell in love with it straight away. It really does capture that Disney feeling.
When I saw the final version of the movie, it didn't have Can You Feel the Love Tonight in it. Jeffrey Katzenberg, who was the head of Disney at that time, came down and showed it to me. And I said, where is Can You Feel the Love Tonight? And he said, we didn't have room to put it in. I said, Jeffrey, every Disney film classically has a love song. And he didn't, to his credit, didn't say, oh, well, too late, hard luck, bugger off. He went back and he found a place to put it in. And, of course, it won the Oscar.
And it won you an army of little fans as well.
Yeah, and introduced me to a whole new audience. I'm so grateful for that.
Elton played at our wedding. David and I got married in Italy, and he played little sets. He sang your song, fantastic. He sang Can You Feel the Love Tonight? Music comes out of him in a way that people can't help but pay attention to.
Well, a lot of people get married to it, and it's just an incredible thing to be part of the biggest entertainment franchise in history. And it's wonderful.
It's enough to make kings and vagabonds believe the very best.
We come on to I'm Still Standing. Now, I remember sitting watching Top of the Pops with my sister in 1983, and then the video came on, which is absolutely fantastic. But famously, you don't like making videos.
Videos for me are just a pain in the butt. But I enjoyed making that one because it was Russell Mulcahy. Got up at 4 o'clock in the morning and recorded it on the Riviera.
You can never know what it's like. Your blood like winter freezes just like ice. And there's a cold and lonely light that shines from you. You wind up like the wreck you hide behind that mask you use.
We had 15 dancers. We had Arlene Phillips, choreographer. And we said, okay, we're just going to have fun.
You need to know while I'm still standing, you just fade away. Don't you know I'm still standing better than I ever did?
It's unusual with that video because you dance in it. And
Yes.
we see you dance occasionally, but you're not famous for your dancing.
No, Arlene Phillips says I'm the worst dancer she ever worked with.
When he saw the energy of the dancers, he just jumped in there. So he was so into it.
By the time we got to the last kind of scene, I was knackered, to be honest with you. And Duran Duran happened to be in the hotel.
We said hello, hang around for a while, and at a reasonable hour, I believe I went home. But it appears that other members of my band and Elton decided they were going to stay up a little later. As the legend goes, Simon decided to deliver a tray of vodka martinis, and Elton rather liked them.
And I said, I'm flagging, guys. What can I do? She said, have a vodka martini. And, you know, I went, yeah, this is fabulous. Well, I had like 3 or 4 of them, and I can't remember much else. It became a drink of my choice and my downfall, thanks to them.
The song feels like a really personal statement as well.
Everybody has their time at #1, and in the 70s was my day in the sun, where everything that I did got to #1. And I was wise enough to know that that doesn't last. In the 80s, you know, there was new music coming in, punk had happened, And then there was new wave coming in and new romantics. And people thought my kind of music was probably passé. And I'm Still Standing was kind of an anthem.
I'm still standing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm Still Standing could have well been, you know, a finger up at the British press. I don't know what was going on in Bernie and Elton's mind at the time. You're sort of fair game if you're in the public eye. But I think both of us now are revered by the press and loved by the British public because we're both a couple of queens. I mean, knights.
And your boys love it.
My boys sing it, and I don't know how they know the words, but they do know the words, and they sing it very, very sweetly.
She packed my bags last night, free flight. 0 hour, 9 a.m. And I'm gonna be high as a kite by then.
Rocket Man is probably my personal favourite Elton John song. I remember the first time I heard it and just completely being transfixed by the sound of it.
This lonely outer space.
It's, I think, the perfect combination of Elton's insane chord changes. I mean, the melody is just beyond belief. And Bernie's lyrics, telling a story, but also being so sort of weird in that most wonderful way.
And I think it's gonna be a long, long time. Touchdown brings me round again to find. Not the man that think I am at home. Oh, no, no, no. I'm a rocket man.
I got the title from the Ray Bradbury book, The Illustrated Man, that has a wonderful story called The Rocket Man in it. I was visiting my parents in England and driving to their house, and I came up with the first verse. I didn't have anything in the car. There wasn't any paper, any pencil, nothing. So I had to keep it in my head for about a couple of hours. And I remember trying not to forget this until I was able to rush through the front door and go, excuse me, I got to write this down. And yeah, that's how that came about.
And all the science I don't understand. It's just my job 5 days a week.
When I first started to work with Ozzy in '79, he was a huge Elton John fan, huge. And he would say to me, you know, that Rocket Man song, he's absolutely brilliant. He still goes on about it now.
And I think it's gonna be a long, long time. Touchdown brings me round again to find.
When things hold up for that long and you can still listen to them and say, it's perfect, that's really how I judge songs. It really is very, very special.
It's gonna be a long, long time. And I think it's gonna be a long, long time. And I think it's gonna be a long, long time.
Thank you.
Not many knew him the way that we did.
이제 엘튼 존의 명곡 중 2위를 차지한 곡을 소개해야 하는데요. 1973년에 나온 이 다큐멘터리의 도입부에 쓰인 명곡입니다.
Elton wanted to make a documentary, and he chose Brian to do it because he thought Brian had the right talent, and I think they just worked together very well. It was to show Elton during a period in his life with the band, to give people a taste of what went on behind the scenes.
Usually we would like to go away and record so we don't have any distractions. And most of our early records were cut in France at Chateau d'Aroville. The chateau was this magical place. We had no clocks, no watches. It was just total joy.
When they were shooting in France, Candle in the Wind was first recorded, it was an incredibly moving piece of music, and I think that is why it stood the test of time. It's beautiful.
And they whispered into your brain, they said you on the treadmill.
I remember loving that song as a kid, you know, and the whole connection to Marilyn Monroe.
And it seems to me you lived your life like a candle in the wind. Never know.
The song itself is about fame and what fame can do to you.
And I would like to know you, but I was just a kid. You candle burned out long before legend.
It could have been about James Dean, it could have been about Jim Morrison. Anybody whose life is snuffed out when they are young and beautiful, because they stay in the psyche looking that way forever.
Loneliness was tough, the toughest road you ever played. Hollywood created a superstar, and pain was the price you paid.
I brought my own copy that I bought. It's a picture disc.
Wow.
This beautiful picture on this side. There's you.
Yeah, that's me. Yes.
Mozart.
Well, I did a tour of Australia, and we did a live recording of it.
Seems to me you live your life like a candle in the wind.
So I've had 3 different hits with it. 1 in England with the original from Yellow Brick Road, 2 from the Live in Australia album, and then 3, of course, in 1997.
Goodbye, England's rose, from a country lost without your soul, who missed the wings of your compassion.
The whole Princess Diana moment, I think, was a kind of iconic turning point in Elton John's legacy because she was so loved.
Like a candle in the wind.
You captured the mood beautifully.
It was a moment in time, and you forget how beautiful she was. And having spent time with Prince William and Prince Harry, she was an extraordinary woman, an extraordinary mother. And now I'm a father, I can really relate to how brilliant a job she did with the children.
Did you have any idea the impact it would make?
Only by the sales of the records and the amount of money we raised for her charity. It was astonishing.
1997년 버전의 바람속의 촛불은 영국 차트 역사상 가장 많이 팔린 싱글이죠. 다음 곡은 엘튼이 오늘의 1위도 예상해줬던 곡인데요. 이 곡보다 더 불타오른 곡이 있나 봅니다. 영국 차트 1위를 차지한 것만 7곡인 엘튼의 노래 중 오늘의 1위를 차지한 곡은 무엇일까요? 다들 아시겠지만 이 곡들은 아니죠.
Are you ready? Are you ready for love?
Goodbye, Yellow Brick Road.
Don't go breaking my heart.
Saturday night's all right for fighting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think we're ready to reveal what the nation has chosen. Let me see. Oh, it's Mysterious Girl by Peter Andre. I don't like any of your songs.
1970년도는 이미 사이먼 앤 가펑클과 엘비스 프레슬리가 1위 자리를 다투던 때였고 피너 출신의 23살 난 이 청년은 첫 히트곡의 탄생을 눈앞에 두고 있었죠. 그럼 전 세계가 가장 사랑한 엘튼 존의 노래는 뭘까요?
Incredible.
Yeah.
You peaked early.
I peaked early, yeah.
Should have really stopped there, shouldn't you?
It's just a phenomena that has just always been there.
It can be from one person to another, from anyone.
Writing a song for somebody and it being the greatest gift that you can give them.
That's the nature of a great pop song. Just gets inside you.
I mean, who doesn't love your song?
It's a little bit funny, this feeling inside. I'm not one of those who can easily hide.
It's really my first wake-up call to Elton and to Bernie, because that's when I really realized, okay, who are these guys? Incredible melody with incredible words.
We both could live. If I was a sculptor.
Did it feel special when you were writing it?
Yeah, Bernie and I were living with my mum and my stepfather, and he gave me a lyric one day. I read it through and I thought, God, this is an amazing lyric for a kid to have written.
I was a totally naive 17-year-old virgin. I was pretty wet around the ears.
My gift is my song, and this one's for you.
Well, and when you say you wrote it quickly, how quickly?
15 minutes.
Wow.
This is your song.
That was a well-spent 15 minutes.
It was, yes. Instead of going to Sainsbury's that day, I decided to write to that.
I hope you don't mind, I hope you don't mind that I put down the words.
I took rough mixes and I was playing them to people. Everybody got just completely blown away by it.
While you're in the world.
By this time, we were aware that we had a smash hit record. We knew that we had produced something of exceptional quality.
I sat on the roof and kicked off the moss.
To write your first really great song, and for it to be as good a song as that one, it was daunting because you think, God, how am I going to improve on that?
What kind while I wrote this song?
That was my first memory of him, playing that song. He's written many standards, but that one, you know, it stands the test of time.
So excuse me for getting with these things I do.
It's a very hard thing, I think, for performers to keep constantly repeating the same songs over and over again because you think they might lose the magic. But every time Elton goes on stage, you don't get 50%, you get 150%.
Not the sweetest I've ever seen.
Elton's musical legacy speaks for itself.
He's definitely a page in the history books, which is what any musician wants to be.
He's brought so much joy to so many people for so long and continues to do it.
It's a different kind of genius that makes Elton.
He's a great source of inspiration, I think, for all of us.
How wonderful life is. While you're in the
I mean, I just don't think he's ever going to stop.
We're going to be doing this again in 20 years.
He truly is one of the most unique artists of all time. And he's one of the most beautiful human beings.
How wonderful life is.
I love the guy. Love you.
When you write a song, you want it to last forever.
Your music will last forever. Thank you so much.
It's a huge honor. Thanks.